Hello, LegendAqua here. So, this is a rather impromptu video that I'm doing. It is namely because let's just say I've been looking at this YouTuber for quite a while now because he has been looking at tons of like other mobile games in a surface level sense. And I saw one of his videos on Diablo Immortal, and I know I don't play the game, but let's just say as a free-to-play veteran like me who's been playing dozens of other games, other mobile games, free-to-play for almost a decade now. It's been 7 years, but you get what I'm saying. He had... what's the best way of saying it? He defended Diablo Immortal in a sense when he was doing this tier list, and as you can see, well, let's just say that a lot of people don't it's oh my god, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad on what he's going on about for Diablo Immortal. And again, for a person like me who, one, has not played Diablo Immortal but has heard pretty much everything that's gone on about it, and yes, I know I haven't played Diablo Immortal, and therefore it means you don't get to rebut what FG3000 gets to say. But to that end, I know as a free-to-play player for gacha games for a very long time now, what FG3000 says within this video is pretty damning on what he thinks about Diablo Immortal and what he is, in my opinion, as a player. So we will actually go on, we will see what he's talking about, and more or less why I'm quite angry with this, because I was not going to make a video on this matter, but let's just say that this boiled my blood to the point that I need to actually respond to him. And in my opinion, the thing is, I really don't want to respond back to him, because I know he's going to get more traction from this video alone because I responded to him. But I don't care, because what he's saying is absolutely, in my opinion, scummy, and he's shilling, in my opinion. So let's actually start. So,
alright, let's chill on this next one. Let us
don't even get me started.
Diablo Immortal. So, Diablo Immortal. I feel like you really can't talk about this game unless you bring up the microtransactions first. So let's go ahead and get that out of the way, right? $100,000 plus to fully max out a character in Diablo. That is an absurd amount of money, life-changing money for most people on this planet. So now, what do we call people that spend life-changing amounts of money in gacha games? Now, if you answered whales, you're right. And the reason why you got that answer correct is because whales have existed long before Diablo Immortal. And as a person that's been covering these games for years, I've already kind of thought about how I feel about mobile games and whales. And this is my philosophy, right? This is my philosophy. You guys already...
Here comes a good part. I will say after he goes on this rant, more or less, but let's just see what he's got to say.
You know it because it exudes through all of my videos, right? I don't base my enjoyment of a gacha game or a mobile game against the maximum potential of a whale, right? So I base my enjoyment on the characters, the waifus, the hype collaborations, events, raids, dragons. Those are the things that get me excited for playing these games. At no point do I ever even consider what whales are doing on planet Saturn, right? I don't even, that's how far away whales are to me when I'm playing these gacha games. And I know I'm not by myself in that thought process, right? Don't boo me, I'm right.
He's dodging the question, but we will carry on.
Right? If you are watching this channel or you play any popular gacha, even some of the unpopular gacha games out there, you are huffing the same exact copium that I'm huffing, right? You are playing your favorite gacha game in spite of there being whales out there that spend 6 figures, 7 figures in these games, depending on how old the game is. You're playing these games in spite of them, right? Because you have found a way to enjoy these games without having to spend absurd amounts of money. And that's what I do. So when I look at Diablo Immortal...
And there we go. Okay, so let's run that back again.
Whales are to me when I'm playing these gacha games. And I know I'm not by myself in that thought process, right? Don't boo me. I'm right. All right? If you are watching this channel or you play any popular gacha, even some of the unpopular gacha games out there, you are huffing the same exact copium that I'm huffing, right? You are playing your favorite gacha game in spite of there being whales out there.
In spite of there being whales in a game. Okay, this one is just... like, does he not understand... like, does he not understand the difference between free-to-play and whales in this sense? Because, sure, a game can have both in a game. That's fine. The bigger problem is the fact that Diablo Immortal itself, it's just pay to win. That's all it is. Free-to-play? Don't even stand a chance in this game in the first place. So I don't know what FG3000 is even talking about right now. Because he is dodging the question constantly. Because if he does it, if FG3000 does not care about the whales, why isn't he talking about PvP in this game? Why isn't he talking about the enhancements that's locked behind actual money in this game? Oh wait, does he not remember? He had played this game, correct? So why is he dodging the question? It doesn't make any sense. In my case, it just... he's just absolutely dodging the question as to why Diablo Immortal has this bad reputation in the first place. Him just talking about typical gacha things, and this is saying, oh, this is not a... like, this isn't as bad as that game, but surely because of that, it's okay, right? No, there's nothing good about it, because as a free-to-play, you are locked and you're paywalled from playing the game. That's not free-to-play at all. Neither is it just making whales even more powerful because they've got the money to do it. For free-to-play, it's impossible. That's why I keep on saying that he keeps dodging the issue with this, and it just infuriates me.
That spend 6 figures, 7 figures in these games, depending on how old the game is. You're playing these games in spite of them, right?
Not in spite of it. I can name 2 games immediately that I can say that I play the game because it's fun. Not because of the monetary practices, and I can easily debunk him immediately because of those 2 games. Azur Lane and Arknights. Those 2 games essentially are free to play completely, because Azur Lane, it's just cosmetics. If you want to pay for stuff that you like because of the waifus, it's cosmetics only. Free to play, because of the spark system and how generous they are with the gacha, it's completely fine. If you can hoard enough cubes and just wait for the waifus that you want, Azur Lane, it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly serviceable, and you get to have fun playing the game. Arknights is a different situation where you can buy the skins for free, but the thing is, getting the currency for those skins is tied to the game mechanics. Therefore, it's pretty much telling you it's teaching you more about the game mechanics, therefore making you more involved in the game, therefore it makes it fun. I don't know what FG3000 is talking about, because if he's talking that every game is, like, every other game is like that every other game is like you needing to whale, he's speaking so narrow and broadly that he's delusional at this point. It doesn't make sense. And here's the thing, FG3000, yeah, he has played Azur Lane and Arknights, and he doesn't play them anymore. Pretty much he doesn't play them anymore. But I know as a free-to-play player, Azur Lane and Arknights, they are one of the most free-to-play friendly games ever that does not need the meta to drive it. But obviously, Diablo Immortal, somehow, he ignores it and just says, oh, just because this one is bad as the other one, therefore this one is kind of okay. No, screw off with that.
Because you have found a way to enjoy these games without having to spend absurd amounts of money. And that's what I do. So when I look at Diablo...
Contradicting himself, because again, Azur Lane and Arknights is clearly debunking him, in my opinion.
Immortal, I'm focused on the game. Like...
He's not. He's contradicting himself, to be honest. He is absolutely contradicting himself.
Oh yeah, so you can spend $100,000 to max out a character? Okay, like real talk, right? If you came up to me and you're like, FG, there's this brand new game out, but whales are spending so much money in it. Can you believe it? I'd be like, dude, word? Dang, for real? That's crazy, dude, for real? So is the game good? Like that's my thought process.
Okay, so he says that. He says because a whale just spent like $100,000, which is not chump change, by the way. It's a lot of money. He completely glosses the fact that it's 100k. Actually, to be honest, it's actually even more than that, because from what I've heard, it's actually 500k just to max out a character because of the secret system. In my opinion, obviously, FG3000 has not gone that much further into the game, because he's still in the surface level parts of Diablo Immortal to the point that he hasn't like capped out. Maybe it's either that or he's just ignoring it, but. To that end, like, it should be kind of a warning sign that this person is pouring in 100k for this game and he doesn't care. What?
So for me right now, the way that mobile gaming is, the way that gacha gaming is, the current monetization schemes that all of these companies run, Diablo Immortal monetization is barely even newsworthy to me.
My point exactly as to why he doesn't care and why... Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That should be ringing alarm bells at you, saying that, oh, I don't know, it takes 100k to about 500k to max out one character. I don't know, they should be sending warning signs at you. And he doesn't care. I wonder why. Is he shilling or something? Because surely as a free-to-play advocate, he must know what's going on. Yeah, fine, whales are outliers, but at the same time, he can't get away with saying that. Because that makes no sense.
Like, it's not even newsworthy. Like, to me...
It was newsworthy, but obviously he was so blinded by everything that's going on that he just wanted to play because of the gameplay, which is a poor excuse.
Personally, as a person that plays these games all the time, that sees these games, that sees the spinning that goes on behind the scenes, Diablo Immortal is barely newsworthy. Like, dude, there is someone that sends me a message like clockwork every few months to convince me to try to come back to Marvel Strike Force. I'm not coming back to Marvel Strike Force. But this person...
Haven't played the game, but I don't care. Carrying on.
...is nearing 7 figures. Alright? Let me say that one more time. He is nearing 7 figures spent in Marvel Strike Force. Yes, Marvel Strike Force is a little bit older, but dude, we're talking about almost $1 million for this person to be a top player in a top guild. I'm using those words very specifically because he's not number 1. His guild's not number 1. He's just a top player. Almost a...
He's comparing lesser of two evils. Which one's bad? Which one's worse? Marvel Strike Force or Diablo Immortal? Because it has a similar predatory monetization scheme. It doesn't matter because they are both bad, and he's just saying, oh, Diablo Immortal's still okay because of the gameplay and quotation marks. I'm speechless for that part. Like, I know FG3000 is somewhat of a dolphin here, but he must clearly know, as again, he's a free-to-play advocate in a sense, that what's going on with Diablo Immortal is entirely predatory. It's not free to play. It's not free to play friendly in the slightest. So why is he defending this crap in the first place and saying, "Oh, Marvel Strike Force, somebody poured in $1 million for this," and yet he gives Diablo Immortal a pass? What?
$1 million spent. So what does that tell you? People in Marvel Strike Force have already exceeded $1 million spent in that game, right? And so far I've been pretty focused on whales spending money, but I know the flip side of that conversation is on the developers and the publishers, saying that, you know what, there shouldn't even be a way for you to spend that much money in the first place. Like, developers shouldn't be allowed to have systems that prey on people to allow them to spend 6 and 7 figures in these games in the first place.
They shouldn't. They shouldn't.
And some of these people have created different types of monetization solutions that they think might fix mobile gaming. There are some people that want to just blow the whole thing up. They want everything to be buy to play on mobile. So everything needs to be $29, $39, $49. So I don't think that would work, but
yeah, that's still a select few, but at the same time, he is comparing apples to oranges for that one. Diablo Immortal is an entirely different experience, and to the point that, yeah, it's newsworthy. That it, you know, they kind of got flack for it, for good reason.
some people consider that to be a fix for mobile gaming. Now,
That's not a fix.
for me personally, the big reason why I play mobile games is for the live service aspect. We've gotten to the point now where mobile games update more than paid PC games with subscriptions, right? If you're playing a mobile game and you haven't had an event in like 1 or 2 weeks, you're like, dude, is this game dead? What's going on? So what do you want to do with mobile? Do you want to have all these games to be like World of Warcraft, where they're buy once with a monthly subscription?
He's comparing MMOs to mobile, when that's not the issue right now.
Well, dude, what about the people that want to juggle like 4 or 5 different mobile games? That kind of screws them over. Now,
Really? Okay, so here we go, because here's the juicy part. I'm that kind of player. I've been playing dozens of free-to-play mobile games for years, and I've been, in my opinion, I've been juggling quite well. Some of them, yeah, sure, are kind of predatory, but I can do that kind of stuff. The only reason I don't touch the Diablo Immortal is because it's become the pay to win hellhole that it is. There's no point. Why bother? Why bother when I'm going to get capped immediately as a free-to-play player? There's no point in me playing. But for the other mobile games that I play, they are generous with what they give and with the timeline that they give me towards that kind of stuff. In multiple games, I do that. But in my opinion, as this rant's going on for FG3000, it feels more like that he's kind of forgotten what free-to-play actually is.
now you're paying like 4 or 5 different monthly subscriptions. How about the ESO model, where you buy it once, but there's no monthly subs? But guess what? Those games still have microtransactions. So how do you handle the microtransactions?
Okay, yeah, so about the entire microtransactions things for gacha. Gacha, like Diablo Immortal, with what they're doing, it is obviously nothing new to the fact that it is predatory. But here's the thing, for a lot of the other Japanese mobile games and some Western mobile games, they do know how to handle it to the point that they're not forcing you to pay. The keyword being forces. It's not mandatory for you to pay. Obviously, Diablo Immortal is mandatory for you to pay money to carry on with the content in the game. A lot of the other Japanese mobile games, they don't do that. They want your time, which is the thing that they want from you. They want you to dedicate more of your time towards the game to get you better and use your resources well. That is the entire point of free to play. The fact that the fact that the game wants you to carry on with the game with the resources that you have without spending any money. Dolphins, it's quite obvious what dolphins are. The fact that they spend a little money just to get by. If they want their, meta units or waifus, whatever. Pay to win or whaling, whichever one. It's obviously you want to pay a lot of money because you're a collector and you want to max everything out. Quite obviously, Diablo Immortal is one of those pay-to-win games. And here's the here's the slight difference between just a pay-to-win game and Diablo Immortal, and I might as well put like Ni no Kuni in there. That is the fact that they are forcing you to pay to get into the meta and that kind of stuff. And max out even one character, you need to shell out so much money just to get one character maxed out. As a free-to-play player, and why FG3000 is advocating and defending this crap doesn't make sense to me, and he's contradicting himself, in my opinion, constantly.
Do you put caps on microtransactions? Who sets the caps? Is it a cap that resets daily, weekly, monthly? Is it $1,000, $5,000, $10,000?
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be, because if there is a game model that makes sense and they can just go along with it, and they can both please the if they can please the pay-to-win players and the free-to-play players, it's fine. This is nothing new as to, oh, what's gacha? We need to find a system that works. There are multiple systems that can work. FG is so narrow-minded in this that he does not see it. Because, like most of my free-to-play games, have spark limits toward that end. And I can just save up as much as I need to and wait for the perfect time to pull. It's as simple as that. It's not that hard. He is making it more complicated than it actually is by saying, oh, what's the gacha limit towards this kind of stuff? And quite obviously, Diablo Immortal is not that. And it's not even that. It's just the fact that Diablo Immortal has no cap towards that, and it's predatory to the fact that people needs to pay. Oh, what was that New Zealand streamer that had to pay 200k just to get one 5-star gem, and he quit. He quit. Diablo Immortal has no cap, and he's talking about, oh, maybe other gacha games need to have a different cap. FG, they do. You just don't know it, or you're so narrow-minded that you don't freaking care.
Who sets all this stuff, right? Or do you tackle the gacha? Do you completely remove gacha and loot boxes from all these games, and if you want to buy something, you have to buy it out of the shop? Well, guess what? We already ran that experiment with Lord of Heroes.
Only one. And as I said again, I need to bring up Azur Lane and Arknights as an example for very free-to-play friendly models here? No, because he just looks at, oh, what are the bad duck of a mobile game, and just says, oh, that's bad, but therefore Diablo Immortal isn't that bad. No, he doesn't get away with that, because as I said, there are much better gacha games that are free-to-play friendly, and he is diverging the situation here. No, FG3000, like, seriously, shut up with that. That's not a good example in the first place.
And it was woefully unpopular. People
I wonder why. Maybe because it wasn't free-to-play friendly.
were just pissed off to see characters.
Maybe there are other gacha games that actually gives us the free-to-play experience, but he doesn't care. I wonder why.
In the shop that were $50, $60, $70, and $80. And you know what you do when you have paid characters in a shop like that with no gacha access? You absolutely destroy the free-to-play players. Because right now in a gacha game world, if you're free-to-play, you have a chance to pull the highest rarity SSR character just like a whale. You can wake up one day, do a free-to-play pool, and get a top-tier SSR character free-to-play, by the way. The whole reason why the meme exists, free-to-play, by the way, is because free-to-play players seem to have fantastic luck when it comes to pulling high-quality characters. Now, if you make characters paid only in the shop, how do free-to-play players get the $40 character out of the shop? They don't. So they completely get demolished in that system. This is a long conversation, and I can go on this forever. All I'm saying is that monetization on mobile...
He just dodged the question, because everything he just said right there, Diablo Immortal does, because again, they paywall free-to-play players, and he doesn't even acknowledge that Diablo Immortal does that. He just says, oh yeah, it's a long topic, but carrying on.
Mobile games, especially live service style mobile games, is extremely complicated. I don't think there's a great answer right now.
There is no great answer, but again, there is still a standard in the Japanese front, I'll say, in the Japanese and maybe some of the Chinese front, that they know how to do it in moderation. It's not perfect, but it's the best that they can do to please both the pay-to-win and the free-to-play players. But him defending it to Diablo Immortal is entirely contradictory is what he's talking about.
I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section below, but until we get an answer that is adopted and well received from everybody,
you can't do that. You can't pull that. You can't pull that. There are millions of mobile games out there, and everybody's just saying, oh, here is one static system. Everybody abides by it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because the companies, they will have their own system in place. And I'm mainly talking about the Japanese mobile games here, not the Western ones, because the Western ones, we know how scummy some of them can be. But I'm talking through the Japanese mobile games. It's not a perfect static system, but for what the ones that they have, it is still decent. I'll bring up Index Imaginary Fest. 15 multis, you can spark for a character. That's perfectly fine. FG Fake Grand Order JP, 30 multis. That's a little bit much, but it's still fine because at the very least, it is a limit. Once again, FG3000 is dodging the question as to why Diablo Immortal is predatory in this sense, because there is no cap. And because there is no cap, it just there's whales that spend 500k just to try and get one character to max character, and FG3000 does not recognize that. Like, is he delusional or is he shilling?
and all these game companies start doing it, I'm gonna just...
Again, I'll point this out. Not every mobile game company does what Diablo Immortal does. And in my opinion, he's just picking an outlier and just saying it as such. Can I actually hear that again?
And well received from everybody, and all these game companies start doing it.
That's also a problem, because what FG3000 is essentially saying here is if he is advocating what Diablo Immortal's predatory practices is like, if he's advocating that, then essentially what he's saying is he wants to normalize it just like what Diablo Immortal's predatory practices are to other games. Because, yeah, Diablo Immortal is bad, but these other games could be worse, but we could just normalize it. We don't want to normalize it. Diablo Immortal's predatory practices and the monetization is horrendous. And he's advocating it to pretty much be normalized. Are you kidding me?
I'm gonna just play games based on the gameplay factor and nothing else.
And that becomes the biggest problem. That becomes the biggest problem. Because do you know how I still look at mobile games, like when I used to do tier lists? It was the gameplay, but do you know what else I look at as like a back of my head kind of situations here? I do look at the monetary practices and how much the gacha pushes you to pull. I look at both of those, but if FG3000 is just looking at gameplay alone, then in my opinion he hasn't changed. He hasn't changed in ages, in my opinion. I think he might have, a little, but he hasn't. He hasn't. Because he hasn't even looked at the monetary practices of other mobile games in the first place. He just hasn't. And I use that because if there's a mobile game that keeps pushing me to pull on meta character after meta character after meta character, I get tired and I stop. Classic example of me is probably 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross, because they keep pushing meta characters on and rushing those meta characters every single time. As a free-to-play player, I got so tired of it, I quit. That's why I hate 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross. Like, that is the main reason why. As a free-to-play player, I was done with that stuff. But, again, as a free-to-play mobile game player like me, I don't just look at gameplay. I look at the monetary practices, and then everything else, just in case afterwards. But if FG3000 just looks at gameplay and nothing else, then there's something wrong with him. In my opinion, there's something wrong with him. Because, in my opinion, no player just looks at just the gameplay and just say, "Oh, I'm fine with it. That's it." That doesn't make sense. That does, in my opinion, that makes no sense at all. Because the other factor has to be the fact that if the gacha continuously forces you to pull, it's not fun. It is not fun. Unless you're a whale, but I'm talking as a free-to-play player. If the gacha keeps on forcing you to pull over and over again, it's not fun anymore. Because I want to save. But obviously, FG3000 kind of doesn't get it. He kind of doesn't get it. Because oh my god.
I'm not gonna worry about whales. I'm not gonna be worried about best in slots.
Oh, you're not gonna worry about whales? That's kind of odd because you've been dodging most of the in your own gameplay footage, in my opinion. You haven't even touched PvP for some reason. I wonder why he's not even doing that. And you don't care about whales. Yeah, right.
Spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to get the best possible thing. I'm gonna play a game all the way up until it's not fun anymore, and I'm
all the way. Again, none of his gameplay footage shows like any in-game stuff. But again, it's FG3000. He only looks at stuff like midway through and he just gives up. That's usually what he does.
going to uninstall that.
Like seriously, he is, in my opinion, he just looks at mobile games surface level and he just quits most of the time if he doesn't enjoy if he doesn't enjoy it. And fine, if he doesn't enjoy it, that's fine. But in this case, it's completely different because, as you just said, if he wants to play all the way to in-game, why haven't we been showing it? And two, why haven't we been told any of the stuff about in-game? But quite obviously, it's either he hasn't gone to in-game or he doesn't want to show us his in-game. Because, as he said, he's already gone through everything at this point, but yet he hasn't told us any of the in-game stuff. I wonder why.
That bad boy and move on. That's just me, FG. What game were we talking about again? Diablo Immortal. Now with that long diatribe out of the way, when it comes to Diablo Immortal, I feel like a large majority of the people will never even get to the point where they even have to worry about monetization and pay to win.
That's laughable, considering Diablo Immortal's predatory practices and how they force the gacha on you in the first place, but FG3000 doesn't see that.
Because I think the daily gameplay loop of Diablo Immortal lets the game down big time. I think the graphics were good, the combat was good, you know, voice acting kind of falls off a little bit midway through the game, but the voice acting was pretty good. Dungeons were well designed. Dude, it's a Diablo in your hand, but the daily gameplay loop, the thing that you're gonna have to log in and do every single day, dude, so woefully designed. Like the bounty system,
I find this kind of odd that he is now actually, you know, taking a small punt at Diablo Immortal just for some of the small stuff, but he doesn't care about the big issue of the monetary practices Diablo Immortal does in the first place. Just little elements on Diablo Immortal being slightly bad, but it could be better. Yeah, I can see through you.
Day 2, I was done with doing the bounty system. Not
exactly what I'm saying. He finished the bounty in 2 days, yet he's not showing any in-game stuff or what in-game is even like. Like, why is he hiding it? Why is he hiding it?
to mention boosted dungeons, right? And like I just said, the dungeons in this game were actually pretty well designed. So let's say you want to sit back, relax, grind some boosted dungeons and get some gear. Oh, sorry, there's no cross server, so you're gonna be waiting in queue. Hopefully your server's not completely dead. Like, whose idea was that? Right? So I feel like some of these gameplay issues are gonna smack people in the face way faster than the whole $100,000 max.
I know I'm not going to rant with this part, but as the gameplay for Diablo Immortal goes on, the players are going to get paywalled one way or another. So the entire 100,000k kind of thing is going to be kind of into like mid-late game. Yeah, no, that does not matter because free-to-play players are going to get paywalled nonetheless. He's dodging the issue once again.
Character thing. Like, those are the problems that I feel like Diablo Immortal has to iron out first.
Yeah, fine. Iron it out, but he hasn't talked about it or gave any ways to actually make it better.
So for me, Diablo Immortal, it's going to be a B above average.
And that's where I think he's shilling. Above average, even though a lot of the monetary practices for this game is horrible. The gameplay is boring from what I've heard a lot of the time, not to mention, from what I've heard, a lot of the, Diablo Immortal streamers or YouTubers, they are essentially, like, exiting the game. I don't see why he gave it a B. Unless he's shilling. Or he's delusional. Either one. And I don't understand it. Because I was just... When I first saw this video, like, my blood boiled as to... Like, it's not even him putting the grade at a B. It's just the entire notion of this entire rant he did for like 8 minutes that just resulted in nothing, in my opinion. Because he hasn't given a proper explanation as to why he is, like, by and far, like, defending Diablo Immortal. And he has basically dodged the issue the entire time on the monetary practices and just saying, oh, the gameplay is fine, that's it. That makes, like, you can kind of see why I think he's shilling Diablo Immortal. Right? It's not just me. It's not just me with this one, surely. Because everybody sees it. Everybody sees it. For everybody who is actually defending FG with this, they are either huffing copium because they're stuck in the pay-to-win loop on this game, or he's an FG, or they're just FG yes-men towards this sense. And even then, like, him giving Diablo Immortal a B, it just... He's shilling. He is just straight up shilling. I swear to God, he's just shilling it.
Like, those are the problems that I feel like Diablo Immortal has to iron out first. So for me, Diablo Immortal, it's going to be a B above average. This is a game that I want to revisit in about 8 to 10 months, because if you play any type of mobile game, the issues that you have on day 1 are not the same issues that you have way down in month 8, right?
Okay, so quick question, FG. Do you think that Activision Blizzard is going to, as you say, just work out the kinks and just make a better game? I don't think so. Considering, as I said, a lot of the YouTubers and streamers for Diablo Immortal has left the game. They don't want nothing to do with it. And it's just become a whale game. Do you really expect Activision Blizzard, who is raking in money through the whales alone right now, that they want to change the practices so they get even less money in that sense and be more free-to-play friendly? I sincerely doubt that.
So the things that people are kind of really talking about right now with Diablo Immortal, with the legendary gems and stuff like that, 8 months to a year from now, it's going to be a totally different resource you're grinding for. Legendary gems, everyone's going to have them. This is going to be something totally different. Every single gacha game after a period of time always becomes more and more generous, and the things that were at the top always trickle down, baby.
If the top is full of vials, I highly doubt they're going to trickle anything down. Keep huffing that copium, FG. Seriously.
The only place where trickle-down economics works is gacha games, right? You want to play a generous game? Play a game that's 1 year old or 2 years old and compare it to launch. It's a totally different thing. So I'm looking forward to playing Diablo maybe in, like I said, in about 8 months to a year, to see if they figured out a better, more satisfying daily gameplay loop, and to see if they've instituted cross-server. So that is it. My name...
And with that, I think that will do it for my own rant on this horrible take on Diablo Immortal, because in all sense, I basically lost all respect for FG3000. The first impressions video, definitely, I felt like he was shilling for Diablo Immortal, because one, he was waiting for the game for ages. He was like talking about it in his in his previous tier list. Oh, not his previous tier list, in his pre-registration videos or whatever. And I think because of that, I think he is shilling the game because Blizzard paid him to. There's no other reason as to why he's defending this crap in the first place. I don't see it. Considering how much of an advocate he is for free-to-play players, I highly doubt that right now. Not with this. He lost all respect for me. Because I watched his videos ages ago. Probably when he was actually doing his scrub fake grand order videos. I watched it from that point, but I lost interest in him ages ago. And then the first impression Diablo Immortal video, yeah, I kind of saw that he was shilling, but with this, yeah, I lost all respect for him, and to the fact that he's an activist shill. He's an Activision Blizzard shill at this point. Because I don't see anybody defending Diablo Immortal unless they are whales in the game, they are FG yes men, or just to the fact that they are just huffing too much copium to the fact that they are pretty much just wanting this Diablo Immortal mobile game to be actually good, and obviously it's not. But yeah, I'm speechless as to what this video has pretty much given me, and pretty much given me insight towards FG3000 as a YouTuber. Like, even more. Like, I'm speechless to that. Okay, so I think that does it for this video on this video on FG3000. Now, I will say one thing. Do not harass FG3000 on this. This is his matter entirely. I'm like going to stop watching his videos outright, because he is what he's turned into, like what he has turned into now. I have no respect for him whatsoever. I don't understand him. I don't understand him anymore. And I would rather look at other YouTubers who have more integrity, in my opinion. So, people like Kukikaze from Arknights or Kimochi's from Azur Lane. FG3000, he is still nothing but a surface level mobile gamer who just looks at stuff in the surface and just flings out video after video without a care, in my opinion. He may think he cares because he's being all positive and such, but too much positivity can be a bad thing. And this is a clear sign, in my opinion. And wow, how far he has fallen. Again, I'll just note one last thing. He gave Ni no Kuni an A. Through gameplay, I'm guessing, but here's the thing. For people who don't know, Ni no Kuni is an NFT-riddled game. Why would he advocate for that kind of stuff? Because of the gameplay alone? I highly doubt it. Oh, just... FG, what has happened to you? Okay, I think that'll do it for me. Comment below what you think about whatever FG3000 has been talking about, and let me know, because quite obviously you know how I feel about this. But yeah, I'll end it here. Even though I don't have any ties towards FG besides being a watcher, like an audience member of him, I've pretty much cut all ties with him. I don't want to see any of his videos anymore because he is straight up shilling. Okay, that'll do it for me. Comment below what you think about everything that's been said in this video, and yeah, that will do it for me. With that, LA out.